So, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Rolf. I'm going to try and sort of give you some knowledge about phishing, spear phishing, whaling, also really email cybersecurity. This is stuff that I've kind of picked up looking after clients over the last 5 years. I wouldn't say it's everything. It's a constant moving threat, cybersecurity, but it certainly is something that we all need to keep an eye on. So who am I? I'm a part of the Apple Consultant Network. So we're basically trusted by Apple to work with businesses on their behalf, try and help them put in best practices. Managed service provider, horrible term, but it's an industry thing it seems these days. As I was saying, we help clients who want to use Apple devices, deploy them properly, and then ongoing managing them. A couple of years ago, I started to get into email deliverability, and that's when I started to work with a standard called DMARC, which I will go over a bit later. But I am a Senmark, who are a South African cybersecurity company. I'm one of their partners. I use their tools. I've used lots of the different tools, but generally they are the company that I prefer to use. So you'll see their name or some of their stuff pop up in my slides. I'm not saying you have to use their tools, but it's worth looking at if you are. And then you might have noticed this very eccentric looking bicycle on the stage here. This is no showpiece. I actually teach people how to ride these at weekends. It's a nice difference to my life, lack of technology, simplicity. I actually hold 2 Guinness World Records on one of these bicycles. And if anyone wants to have a go, come find me. So, shocking fact, reported by Deloitte in 2023, 91% of cybercrime originates from email. And it's quite topical because we've just had the Marks and Spencers and Co-op. It's still kind of coming out how they got into those systems. But email is definitely the weak link. As I was saying, so this is the DMARC records for both Co-op and Marks and Spencers. And looking at those records, I can actually spoof them. That's the worrying thing. And I only did this yesterday. So they haven't done anything to even start to patch this. So they've got a long way to close gaps. So how easy is it to actually spoof someone? This is a demonstration I've done. So I've gone to FastHost, just picked a random domain name provider. I looked up a domain, it's available. I haven't bought it. I've gone to some tools to check that there's no DNS records available. It's unregistered. I set up a brand new Gmail account. As you can see, no information. I then used an impersonation tool that I have access to, and I sent that Gmail account an email from that domain, which is not even registered. So you can see I created an email, literally added an email address to it, sent an invoice with an attachment, please pay this, and it was delivered. Nothing stopped me from doing that. That's how easy it is to spoof a domain that's not properly protected. So, let's do some audience participation. If you would all like to go to this web address, it's on our company website, we have a DMARC checker. So we will actually check to see how protected your domain is. It will give you a score out of 5.
What will you do with our data?
It's not capturing any data. It just literally returns a score to you. Okay. Everyone got a number?
Number 4.
Okay. So these are the score rating. Who's got 5? 1 in the audience. Who's got 4? 2. And who's got 3 and below? Okay. So if you've got 3 and below, it means someone can actually impersonate your domain name. So there's work that needs to be done. Okay. 4 means you're getting there, and ideally you want to be on 5. Zenmark, as I say, who I partner with, have done an analysis of the UK's top domains. And interestingly, they have found that about 71% of UK domains do not have proper DMARC protection in place, which means those domains can be used to send malicious emails to other users. It's quite a scary fact. The interesting fact on that is that the government, so anything that has .gov, has been required to have DMARC since 2014, I think it is, and about 10%, 20% of those have only got DMARC, and they've got their own tool, so they've not even implemented it across. So what is phishing? Phishing is a technique that's been around for ages. It's jokingly been called terms like the Nigerian prince scams from the early days that we would all know about. It has evolved. It basically is the mechanism of sending an email to a user to basically get them to try and install something, click a link, pay a fake invoice. You know, there's many different types of phishing these days. So this list are some of the different terms now we're starting to see for all the different types of phishing that are occurring. Spear phishing, whaling, they're a bit more targeted. You know, your general phishing is just a mass mailing, hoping that someone clicks a link. With spear phishing and whaling, they are now starting to use information that they find on the internet. They are starting to try and target specific individuals within an organization with that information, hoping they catch you on a bad day, that you don't really read the email properly and you click the wrong link, or just hoping that you just don't know and you do click the link. You know, these criminal organizations are excellent at psychology. They know how to send emails, it seems, just at the right moment when you are trying to juggle 101 things and you just don't think about it and you go, oh, that looks okay. Ooh, too late. So how do we protect our domains? There's 2 aspects to it. There are the inbound protection, and then there's our domain protection. Most companies spend quite a lot of time on their inbound protection, which is good, because that's us receiving the emails, but they forget about the outside part of their domain, which puts their suppliers, their customers, and actually the rest of the world, and their reputation at risk. So, I'm going to start with the inbound. As you saw, I know that's just a personal Gmail account, but Google Workspace, Microsoft's Office, you know, the standard setup, the security that they, out of the box, is just not strong enough these days. You, as a business, you need to be starting to look at implementing and checking that your systems are properly set up. When we set up emails, these are the key protocols that are important. You've got SPF. SPF is basically the list of authorized servers or systems that can use your domain name. So if you have Office 365, that would be one. If you have MailChimp, that will be another service that you will be sending from your domain. And if you've got help desk software that you send out, all of those have an SPF record. Those all need to be configured in your domain name, or in your DNS, should I say, so that when the recipients receive them, they know, their mail servers know that it's coming from an authorized service that you have control of. We take it further with DKIM. DKIM is pretty much, it's a bit like having an invitation when you turn up at a nightclub. It proves that you are who you are, that you should be there, and that the message has not been intercepted, modified en route. Again, those are things that we see quite often that people don't enable on Office 365 or Google Workspace. So there is no method of basically authenticating that the message hasn't been intercepted and altered unless DKIM is configured properly. And then, as I was saying, you've got DMARC, which is a standard that was a security protocol that was developed in 2012. So it's been around quite a long time, which basically takes SPF and the DKIM and says that if a mail receives, or a recipient receives an email and it fails one of these, one of the SPF or the DKIM, what to do with that email. If you don't have DMARC, most mail servers will just deliver the message. DMARC is put in place to basically give it instructions to say, quarantine it or reject it, which is ideally where you want to have messages going that haven't come from you. So, that inbound protection. It is important that your mail servers are interrogating these records. Are they properly analyzing the headers of where the emails are coming from? There's a lot of information buried in headers, and if you look at a header, it looks just like a string of XML code. If you run it through a header analyzer, it puts it into more usable English information. And the information in those headers actually shows you how an email got to you. It shows you all the steps that it took around the world. And that can be key to identifying, has it been intercepted? Has it been altered? Did it come from servers that we know and trust? And the advanced email protection that you implement should be checking the SPF record. It should be validating it against the DNS to make sure that those SPFs align. Has it come from the right IP addresses? Same with DKIM. And then also we should be looking to have your emails, links and attachments basically scanned in a sandbox before they even reach your mail servers, so that they can see if there's malicious links hidden in there. Because what some of these email campaigns are doing is they will actually put a link and they will actually color it white so you can't see it to the human eye. But it's there in the background. And if you accidentally click that link, it downloads something onto the machine. That's how they're trying to basically trick us. Phishing, you might have heard of sort of payment QR codes. Again, do we know where all these QR codes going? With the right inbound protection, when you receive QR codes in emails, which sometimes they do for setting up authenticator apps and all these things, the inbound protection should be checking those links and basically where it goes to see if there's anything malicious. So that's our inbound. As I say, most people do spend quite a lot of time on inbound, so it generally is not the biggest risk for companies. But where I'm seeing a lot of people are falling short is this domain protection. So it's the outside of your infrastructure. It's what is your domain being used for. And that's where, as I was saying, DMARC gives us a bit more visibility. We want our domains to be protected because as now what the cyber criminals are finding is that because we might have good inbound protection, it's easier to go after your customers. If they can go after your customers, they can compromise them because they can impersonate you. This is a case study, classic spoofing email, which actually affected the councils up in Manchester and Salford back in 2024. Basically, their domains weren't protected. They did not have DMARC in place. And the cyber criminals worked out that they could email all their customers, so the people who lived within the houses that they were servicing, and ask them to basically click a link. So the ramifications of it is they had data exposure. There's a serious reputational damage here because suddenly people don't trust your brand, your emails that are coming from you. And it has brought regulation scrutiny as well. So DMARC, as a standard, it's there to basically sit on your DNS or your domain names. That's the other thing that a lot of people will think. If your company has multiple domains, it's not just the primary one that you use. You should be thinking of all your other domains as well that are protected. Because again, if you're a cyber criminal, you'll be looking for other domains you can, if you want to target a specific company, that you could impersonate. It sits there and it sends out rules so that the recipient knows what to do when it receives an email that doesn't meet the right security protocols. But what's also important about it is it has reporting. So it reports back to you, the mechanism. You will get reports back, so you have a bit more visibility about what your domain is doing. You know, what services are using your domain. Now this can be useful for things like shadow IT even within your business. Do you know if all your employees are using platforms that you've not sanctioned? It's so easy with cloud services to spin up a new service and they could start using your company domain and you have no idea about it. If you've got DMARC in place, the reports will start to show that this service is basically sending emails, and then you can start to question it. If you are on what we call P equals reject, which is basically the state that says reject any emails that have not met our DMARC policy, and the reports are starting to show that there are lots of emails suddenly getting rejected from, say, the Far East or something serving. That again is good intelligence that gives you an insight that someone is trying to basically find a way that they can impersonate you. And then it means that it highlights that you might need to start looking at other aspects of your business, just in case. You know, they're probing to see what they can get away with. So why, as I was saying, is DMARC such a big thing? It's trust. You know, our customers trust that the emails are coming from us. Most people don't realize how easy it is to send a fake email. We need to build trust with our customers. Marks and Spencer's classic case, you know, that people are going to start to question when we receive an email from some Marks and Spencer's, did it actually come from them now? They've even put out in the press in the last couple of days to be careful if you receive an email from us. So, it's that level of trust that we have with customers. Our domains are very important. If you have DMARC in place and it is set up properly, because you've got your SPF and your DKIMs all set up, it also improves your deliverability. That means that your emails are actually getting to where you want to send them. It's becoming more topical and it's becoming a compliance thing. We're starting to see a lot of the security standards are talking about DMARC. It's not just something which we wish we would have. It's starting to become we should have it. And then also nowadays, identity. A lot of our identity providers will use our domain names. We don't want people to basically abuse those because that's how we log into a lot of our systems going forward. So, DMARC as a product, you can set it up manually. You can implement these things on your DNS. The challenge with doing it sort of DIY, as you would call it, is that you will receive back hundreds of XML emails. Now, if you can read XML, great. And you want to sit there all day analyzing those emails to what that actually means, fine. That's where you got these DMARC providers. Now, what they do is they will ingest all those XML emails and they will put them into usable data, which gives you that visibility. It highlights, what are the servers that are sending? Is emails going through forwardings? All these, it puts it into a dashboard which you can see. It gives you a bit more high-level information. And then a good provider, they will also give you alerts if it meets certain thresholds. If there's suddenly a whole load of emails failing, you will get an alert that there's an issue. Now that could be that something has changed in your environment and you haven't updated the SPF or the DKIM. Or, these are things which get overlooked when people are setting up. The other advantage of using a lot of these platforms is that, I don't know if you know this, but if you've got more than 10 SPF records in your DNS, the recipients stop looking past 10. So even though if you've got lots of services, say you have 15 different services that send on your behalf, once it gets past 11, most recipients won't look at the 12, the 13, the 14. So again, the benefits of SPF checking suddenly go out the window. A DMARC provider will offer something called SPF flattening, which means that you actually only have in your DNS record, you have a single SPF record, and they take care of all those other SPFs. So then you don't lose that security aspect of having more than 10 SPF lookups. As I was saying, DMARC is a standard. It's been around since 2012, but I guess it kind of made headlines in 2024 when Google and Yahoo turned around and said that they were going to start blocking recipients who did not have DMARC in place, who were mass mailers. Now, their definition of mass mailers was 5,000 emails a day. But if your company gets compromised and someone does a mass mailing on your behalf, you'll hit 5,000 very quickly. And so you then fall for that. It also has been recommended as best practice in PCI DCS standards 4.2, which was just recently released. They're not saying it's mandatory, but they're highly recommending it as a standard that has to be in place. So if you have to meet credit card regulations, it's something that you should really think, because I suspect it won't be long before it becomes mandatory in the next few standards. And then really the big announcement that came was Microsoft, beginning of May, announced that they also were now going to start rejecting emails to their Outlook, Hotmail, and Live email addresses from recipients above 5,000 who were sending out 5,000 emails. What was interesting with them is they literally gave you a month to implement it before they made it mandatory. And so again, these messages are starting to highlight that this is not something that we should be thinking about. It's going to start to become mandatory. You know, I expect also pretty soon it's going to be part of most people's cyber security insurance policy that they have to have DMARC in place. So, I've touched on the inbound. I've talked about DMARC and protecting our domain. Really, our end users are also the most important thing here. You know, proper training for all end users on what to look for when they receive emails. You know, to start questioning links, hover over things, don't click it, check these things. You know, and our end users are our last line of defense. You know, we can implement really good inbound filters. We can implement all these DMARC protection, but things will get through. You know, the cyber criminals are constantly honing their techniques. They're trying to find new ways. They're trying to bypass all these things that we put in place. So it is our end users are so important because we need to create an environment where people are not scared to question an email, not scared within your organization to report something. So once you've got your domains, you've got DMARC set up properly, there are a few things you can also implement. You've got email privacy controls. So you can implement something called MTSS, it's a right mouthful, STS, which basically also has a reporting mechanism on it. But that is a protocol that ensures that your emails are transmitted encrypted, and that it is not doctored en route, so that you know that your emails are being delivered without being intercepted and altered. It's a complementary thing that actually works very well when you've got DMARC in place. It's something that the National Cyber Security have also started to encourage businesses to put in. So when you run your domains through their checkers, it's one of the things they check for on your domains. And then there's a few other technologies that once you have DMARC in place, you can actually increase your brand trust. There's something called BIMI. It doesn't work on all platforms yet. It's still developing. But what it does is it basically embeds your logo into your email so the recipients receive it. So it's probably it's more relevant if you're a business to customer user, because they will associate the trust. It works. You have to have a trademark, though, is the challenge of it. So it's not a cheap mechanism to necessary. You have to have the trademark on your logo, and then you have to have various certificates. But it does mean that when the recipients receive the email, your logo is in that email rather than seeing the letters that you would see next to the email and clients. Apple has their own version of this. Any of you heard of Apple Business Connect? Okay, so they actually have a branding section in their Apple Business Connect. It's totally free to set up. I recommend everyone do it. Not only will it put your business within the Apple Maps system, but the branding mechanism going forwards with their the newer versions of Mac Mail and iOS Mail, you will start to be able to embed your logos. So a couple of useful tools. I say that I am going to basically be releasing a blog post on our website after this, which will have these links plus more. But these are some of the tools which are useful, give you a bit more information, a bit more understanding about what I've been talking about, hopefully, and the importance of it. And this, if anyone feels brave, you can impersonate yourself if you really want. Test your domains. So this is pretty much the tool that I used to show that first video. But this, if you go to this link, it will allow you to basically put in your company domain and your, say, personal email and test to see, can it get delivered to your inbox? If it can, then that's an indication you need to look at what's going on. Do you need to strengthen your inbound filters? Do you need to look at having DMARC in place? If it's not getting delivered, that's good. And then finally, if you want to connect with me, that's my LinkedIn. Always open to talking about this. Anyone wants to have a go on a penny farthing, do connect with me. I do offer opportunities to have a ride. Hopefully the Hilton won't get too upset if I take people around the corridors, but do come find me. Thank you. Any questions? Or have I scared you all?
How to get started with DMARC?
Sign up for a DMARC platform. I can give you a trial of the SendMark platform, but basically most of them offer a free trial where a kind of proof of concept where you just implement a single DNS change and it will, those XML files, it will start to ingest those, and what we tend to do then is listen to it for 2 weeks. And that just highlights, is someone even trying to use your domain already? I've had a few customers where we've done it, and we found that someone in the Far East was having a right time with their domain, and they had no idea about it. So it was, and then but yeah, they offer a free proof of concept on that. SendMark. I will give. In my sort of blog post, there is a link which basically has a sign up for it. But as I say, if you connect with me, I can also give you set you up with a free trial of it. As I say, there are lots of different DMARC providers out there. I'm not saying you have to use SendMark as a platform. They all have a slightly different model of how they work. One of the reasons we've settled with SendMark is they are a South African company. Anyone knows about South Africa, security is quite a big industry out there. But also, they are the only DMARC provider I know that offers a 90-day guarantee that they will get you to P=reject. So not quarantine, but reject, because that's where you want to be. Prior to this, I did launch a poll, and interestingly, I noticed only 2 people are on reject, and that was myself and one other. So most people are on quarantine, which means your emails are still can be delivered to their spam boxes. Any other questions?
You mentioned header analyzers.
Yes.
Do you have any suggestions on those? And also, are they safe? Uploading data?
So if you go, the tools tools.sendmark, there's a header analyzer on there. You just can copy and paste the header analyzer into it. Are they safe? I trust them. I don't know if I trust all of the platforms to do it. But yes, it's fascinating to see the journey an email can take when you analyze a header. When you look at it in the email, it looks like complete gibberish. But yes, that tools.sendmark has some fascinating tools. You know, the first thing I do when I receive an email from someone is run their domain through that just to see who they are, where it's come from, you know, what protection they are, and does it look legitimate? That's my checks that I use, but you know, that's quite complex for some people.
Brilliant, thank you, Rolf. If anyone's got any more questions, can we grab Rolf on lunchtime? That's okay. Just trying to get back on schedule. Sorry.
Yep, no, that's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.